Night Shiny. A new, scary story.
I live in a one-bedroom apartment in a mid-sized city. It's not fancy, but it's mine. Last July, I took a 2-week trip to visit my parents in another state. Before leaving, I cleaned everything. Dishes done, trash out, blinds half closed, thermostat at 75. I even filmed a short clip of the place for Instagram before I left, mostly to show off how adult my setup looked. When I got back, the first thing I noticed was the smell. Not bad, just different. Like detergent I don't use. At first, I thought maybe the building's cleaning service had been in. But I rent privately, and my landlord's the type who won't replace a light bulb unless you beg. I brushed it off and unpacked. But by that evening, I kept finding small things out of place. My toothbrush was in the wrong holder slot. My pillowcases were inside out. The TV remote was under the couch, even though I never lose it. I told myself it was travel brain, jet lag, fatigue. Except when I opened my fridge, I froze. There were groceries inside: eggs, yogurt, a half-eaten pack of deli turkey, none of which were mine. And the date on the turkey? Bought 3 days ago. My heart started racing. I checked the front door, locked. The windows locked. Nothing broken. I called my landlord immediately. He said no one had a spare key except him, and he hadn't been inside. He laughed it off, said maybe I just forgot I bought those. I didn't laugh. That night, I barely slept. Every sound made my chest tighten. The pipes, the wind, the fridge hum. Around 3 a.m., I swore I heard something faint, a creak from the closet. When I finally fell asleep, I woke up to sunlight and a coffee mug on the counter that wasn't mine. White ceramic, chip on the rim. It smelled like fresh brew. My coffee maker was still warm. I don't drink coffee. That's when I called the police. They checked everything, no signs of forced entry, no fingerprints other than mine. The officer said it might have been a friend playing a prank, except no one has a spare key. I decided to install a small Wi-Fi camera in the living room, one of those motion-activated ones, just to be sure. For the next 2 nights, nothing happened. I started thinking maybe I'd overreacted. Then on the 3rd night, while scrolling through footage, I saw it. Around 2:14 a.m., the bedroom door opened from the inside. Someone stepped out. He was tall, wearing my hoodie. He walked straight to the kitchen, poured water, then sat on the couch and scrolled through his phone for almost 20 minutes, before quietly walking back into my bedroom. And then the screen went black. I hadn't noticed before, but the camera stopped recording every time the motion sensor triggered for too long. He must have known that. I called the police again. They searched top to bottom, nothing. But they noticed something I hadn't: a loose panel behind the closet. Behind it was a narrow maintenance shaft with a small, makeshift space. Blanket, empty water bottles, snack wrappers, and a phone charger plugged into the building's wiring. The officer looked at me and said quietly, "He's been living in your walls." They never caught him. The footage I saved stopped the day I called them. But the next night I heard a soft tap-tap from behind the drywall. Just once, like someone knocking. Goodbye.
I started therapy last year after a bad breakup. Nothing dramatic, just a quiet collapse that made getting out of bed feel like lifting weights. My therapist's name was Dr. Alan Foster. Late 40s. Kind eyes. He had this way of pausing before answering, like he was really thinking about what you'd said. For months, I actually felt better, more in control. Then, one random Sunday, I was scrolling Reddit, the r True Off My Chest subreddit, and saw a post on the front page titled, "My patient confessed he followed his ex for weeks before realizing she wasn't the problem." It stopped me cold. That sounded like me. The post wasn't identical. A few details were changed, but the timeline, the breakup, even the way I'd phrase things were the same. At first, I laughed it off. Coincidences happen, right? I mean, people go through similar stuff. But then I kept scrolling, and I saw more posts. Each one a different anonymous confession, about patients, supposedly. And everyone matched something I'd told Dr. Foster. Even the exact line I'd said once, half jokingly, "If I disappeared, I don't think anyone would notice for a week." It was there, in quotes. It was there, accession. I couldn't focus. I wanted to confront him, but part of me needed to be sure. So I said something completely fake. I told him I sometimes drove to the coast at night and sat by an old lighthouse, even though I live hundreds of miles inland. He nodded, took notes, and said, "That's good. You're finding a safe place to process your thoughts." 2 days later, I checked Reddit again. A new post on his same account. "My patient drives to a lighthouse to feel close to someone he lost." My blood went cold. I started saving screenshots. Every post, every timestamp. The account used throwaway usernames, but the writing style was identical. Short, clinical sentences, and that same phrase at the end of each one. We're all just trying to find a reason to stay. I tried to report it, but Reddit said it didn't violate their terms. So I did the only thing I could. I booked another appointment. But this time, I got there 30 minutes early and waited in the parking lot. I saw him arrive, but he wasn't alone. A woman got out of his car, younger, maybe early 30s, carrying a tablet. She was laughing at something, he said. They went inside. When I entered later, she was gone. The session went normally. He didn't mention her. But halfway through, he asked me, "Would you be okay if I recorded sessions for professional review?" I said no, firmly. He smiled and said, "Of course, just asking." That night, I checked Reddit again. A new post appeared sometimes. "My patient hides behind paranoia, mistaking care for control. No one else could have known I refused recording." That's when I tore my apartment apart looking for a bug. Nothing. Then I checked my phone's permissions and found one of those quiet remote access toggles under an app I didn't recognize, Mind Mirror Support Tools. It had microphone access. Installed the same week I started therapy. And I deleted it. I got a text from an unknown number within seconds. "Please don't remove that. It's part of your treatment." My stomach turned. The number had the same area code as Dr. Foster's office. Tried calling. No answer. Next morning, his website was gone. Email bounced. The building where his office was located had a "for lease" sign out front. T's like he vanished overnight. Every few days, I still get a Reddit notification. New post from user Alan Reflects. The latest one, posted yesterday, reads, "E finally understands I was only trying to help. He's listening again. Don't even have the Reddit app anymore." Somehow, I still get the notifications.
It started about 2 weeks after I moved in. The apartment was cheap, close to work, and my new roommate, Derek, seemed fine. Quiet, clean, polite. He was maybe 30, worked in IT, always wore headphones. The kind of guy you could live next to for years and never really know. The first few nights were normal. But then around 3 a.m., I heard something. At first, I thought it was a dream. A voice coming from his room. Muffled, low, like he was whispering to someone. I got up to grab some water, and as I walked past his door, I froze. He was talking in his sleep. That part didn't bother me. My brother used to do the same thing, but then I heard it. He said my name.
Ethan, don't move. I'm not done yet.
I just stood there, the refrigerator light spilling into the hallway, trying to make sense of it. Maybe it was just a coincidence. Maybe he'd said something else that sounded like my name, but the next night it happened again. Same time, same low voice.
Ethan, stop pretending to sleep.
I didn't move for the rest of the night. Over the next few days, I noticed things, small things. Like how he always seemed to know when I'd left my room, even if I hadn't made a sound. Or how whenever I came home, he'd already have headphones on. But there was no music playing. One night I tried to confront him about the sleep talking. I said it casually, like, "Hey man, you talk in your sleep a lot. Everything okay?" He didn't look surprised. He just smiled and said,
Yeah, I know.
I didn't know what to say to that. I know. What the hell did that mean? A few nights later, I recorded it. I left my phone outside his door, hit record, and went to bed. In the morning, I listened. At first, it was silence. Then, at 3:12 a.m., his voice.
He's awake. He knows. Not yet.
Then, the sound of footsteps, and then my bedroom door handle clicking. I threw up listening to it. That day I told him I was thinking about moving out. He just nodded and said,
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
like he'd been expecting it. That night I pushed my dresser against the door. I didn't sleep. Around 2:50 a.m., I heard it again. Not from his room this time, but from the hallway, whispering. Then something brushing against my door. I held my breath and listened, he whispered, and then,
Ethan, don't go.
Silence. I opened the door. The hallway was empty. His bedroom door was wide open. He was gone. All his things, computer, clothes, toothbrush, gone, except one thing. On the kitchen table, there was a USB drive. I plugged it into my laptop. Inside, there was just one file, an audio recording, time-stamped for the night before I moved in. It was him talking in his sleep.
Ethan, you'll like it here. I've been waiting.
I called the landlord that day, told him Derek had moved out. He said,
That's strange. No one's lived there since October. The guy before you was named Derek. He killed himself in that apartment.
and I swear that same night, at 3:12 a.m., my phone started recording by itself.
These stories are too real not to be true. See you in new scary stories.